we try to build the layout. We will implement sorting, we will implement filtering, and we will implement pagination. So I'll use our design, but I will fetch our Star Wars guys. So PLP is this one, right? So we want to create some UI. We will have some sorting. Let me actually check what do they have. They have height, mass. Height is different, beautiful. Yeah, so we can have a few filters. Okay, so I would say that we want to start from the API, from what? What do we want to do first? We want to fetch data probably, yeah?
Yep.
So we will be sure that we have data that we can render. Okay. Or maybe, I'm just thinking, maybe we can start from the UI, because from the layout, because we can create some navigation quickly. We can create this sorting and filter, basically search, and we can create this section and this section. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. And then,
sorry, just really quickly, what is the purpose of that Star Wars API? Sorry, I think I missed it.
I need a list of some items here.
I see. Okay.
Right. That is why I want to fetch some data.
Got you. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe that we want to create some kind of file. Index HTML, right? Okay, next thing, we want to have a CSS folder. Then we want to have JavaScript folder. Probably not inside CSS, just on the same level. And I think this is it. So now I will create index CSS here. So let me create some h1 just to test that actually it is working, our setup is working in our world. And I want to style my h1. And what do I want to do? I don't know, color green. So I want to add my CSS. So I will create a folder CSS, which I don't have, and index CSS, right? So I still don't have it. I want to create a folder CSS. And I want to start compiling my SCSS to CSS. So let me just play it right. So now this index CSS doesn't exist, right? But without any bundlers, I can use Sass plugin, and I think that should be, I need to specify path. SCSS index and the destination, which will be CSS index.css -- watch, so that will listen, probably without space. Yeah. So now if I save, you can see it just created a file with my styles. So if I go to the browser, revealing Finder, opening the browser, I have it, right? Looks nice. So now every time I will change something to, I don't know, blue, save, you can see that it just compiled And in my CSS now I have a new value. So if I refresh the page, I have it blue. Beautiful. This is our CSS setup. We are running this CSS, and this is what we want. Great. Any questions on this one? No? Okay. So let's start from the very top, right? We want to have, right, I forgot about Normalizer. So every project we start with Normalizer, right? So if you go here, copy the URL, I want to add it to the very beginning of our file. Probably I can keep it as a separate file. So link, like this. So now if I refresh, yeah, I have a default thing. Beautiful. We have default, we have our custom. I think we can start. So let's create a navigation menu first. How to do that? So we want to create a navigation, and let's get rid of our cart for now because we don't care about that. But we want to have basically 1, 2, 3. So one section, left section, and right section, right? So in our navigation, we want to have 2 blocks. So I want to create a navigation. Inside, I want to have 2 blocks. And for me, it looks like, because they're pretty, so I have a button and some list. And here I have a button, right? So basically, because I have 2, I will have a div, menu, and there I will have, what do I have? What will I have? I will have button, yeah, let's do button, this class menu, btn. As a sibling, I will have ul, now list, and there I will have 3 LIs, home, shop, and magazine. Yeah, but for now that will be just list item and multiply item multiply 3, right? So this is the left part. On the right part, I want to have just login, so that will be just another div login, and there I will put just an anchor, something like that. Yeah. So I hit tab in the end. That will create me a layout. Questions? Any?
Not a question, but is it worth, I mean, do you recommend also in these bits to section them off with like headers and all that? Like, would this go in a header tag as an overall? Is that worth doing?
Yeah.
Is there any benefits to that? If there's not, then we can leave it.
Probably not, because theoretically we can put both into the header, right?
Got you.
And one will be navigation, and second will be this kind of filtering section or something.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I guess it's not as necessary on this one.
Yeah. Anyway, let's stick for what we have for now. Okay, so great. Let me check what do we have. Awesome. We have our button, right? Let's call it menu for now. So we have button, navigation, and login. All we need. So next section, let's keep it as a div, we want to have our I don't know, how do we want to call it, these two filters, filter main search. Any ideas on a good name? The class name. How do you want to name it? This is search and this is sort. I mean, we can.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, to be honest.
Sorry?
Search and sort sound great.
Search, sort. Okay. And there we will have basically input and select, right? Div search. There I will have input with attributes type text, placeholder, search, and another one will be div filter, where I will have select, right? Oh, sorry, not filter, but sort. Sort. Select, and inside I will have option with option $, multiply, I don't know, 5, for example. We will change it a bit later. Okay, so we have dummy search with some placeholder and input, and we have select here. Let's refresh. Beautiful. We're slowly moving to complete the page. We might have some time left. Great. So next step is what? Next step, we want to have this layout, right? Theoretically, we have a few options. And for me, visually, it looks like we want to have a left column and a right column. And on the left column, we will have just filters. And on the right column, we will have section with items and pages for navigation. Yeah?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So let me just do that then. So I'll create main container, and there I want to have two divs. Div filters, and I want to have another div items. I think in my items I want to have UL product. It's not items actually, it's like a items container maybe, and here product list, and there we want to have a lie product item, and there we will multiply by how many? 6, right? We want to have 6 per page. This is for now, because we will remove this manual allies in a few minutes, because we want to render it dynamically. We want to keep the list, and maybe we don't need this one actually. We will just mark it. So plus we want to have a sibling, which will be pagination, like div, no, another UL, pagination, and again, depends on how many pages we will have, that many items we want to render, that many pages we want to render. I think this is it for now. And we want to have a footer, but let's avoid these icons just to keep it simple and keep these 4 things. So I'll create a footer, and there we will have UL link, I don't know, footer links, and there I will have a line footer link, and there I will have an anchor, and all of that I want to multiply by 4. Something, oh, sorry, like this, yeah. Looks good for me. So about us, maybe we can be more specific and just use link $, like this. Okay, done. A few lines of CSS and we will get the page. So let's start styling. Let's start from the very top. So,
Sorry, just had a quick question.
yep.
For example, when you had in the HTML you had the main, or like how does the browser default differently if you were to have a main compared to a section? Like, is it like if we could technically put that in a section? Is there any difference between
Yes.
doing the two?
So section is just a regular section. So it takes as a group of the content that is
Right.
Has some relationship between each other. Like, so this is the one group of data, let's say, the information,
Right.
right? But main means that this is the main section, let's say,
Got you.
which is kind of more important.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So let's start from navigation. I probably want to still split it. Let me just close this one. We will start from navigation. So first of all, we are starting from box sizing. Do you know why I'm doing that?
To get rid of additional padding and margins.
Padding. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The additional pad. So when you because if you don't do that, if you have width 100 pixels and add padding 20 pixels, your element will get 140 pixels because you have 20 and 20 left and right. But if you do this and set width 100 pixels and set padding 20 and 20, your element will have 100 pixels as you defined, but the content area will be only 60 because you will have 20 and 20 on the left and right. Yeah, absolutely right. Great, so I just did this, and next step I want to have my navigation. And my navigation contains 2 elements, so I will start from display flex because I want to put it into one row. I also will use, on the very beginning, I will use dummy colors to mark every single section so you can see where the section starts and ends. So I will use some dummy colors, I don't know, yellow. And let's see. Great, this is our section, right? So you put into one, so basically now we have 2 elements. And let's start styling each. So we have menu. And we have inside my menu, so we have menu, background color, blue aqua, and the another one we want to have login, right? Login. We have background color and some antique white. So if I refresh, you can see that we have 2 sections, right? Probably this one is more important. So this one, we will have more content that should grow and take the free space because we have just 2 elements, we have extra free space. So I want to make this one grow. So for my menu, I will set flex grow, 1. Refresh, done. Yeah, so we take the free space. Now I want to fix this one and put into one row. So my menu should be display flex again, because I want to put my button and my list into one row. Try. Yes, we have it in one row. Next step, I want to do flexbox for my list. So in my here in my menu, I'm selecting my now list and display flex. Right, refresh. Yeah, have it in one row. Now we just need to fix all these stylings for our list item. How to remove these dots? Anyone? I'm talking about these dots.
List style none.
List style none. Great. Yeah, minus dots. But we have, by default, we have padding, so I want to remove padding to 0. Remove. Yes, we have it. Right? Looks almost nice. So you see that the height is actually bigger than we expecting. This is because of some element I think has some margin. I kind of feel, yes, UL has margin by default, right? So if you remove margin, the default margin, refresh, we don't have margin now. Great. So let's add some stylings for each element. So in my list item, in my nav list, sorry, I want to style my list item and I want to add some probably padding. Let's add padding 1M. Something like that. Yeah. And see that this it's stretching my button. So what I want to do is for the whole menu, because menu contains button and my list, I want to have align items center. So it will align my items to the center. It's aligned already because this is the tallest element, right? So it builds basically the height because we have padding. But this one will be aligned to the middle. Same for our logging. I want to add something to my logging and have align items center. But to do that, sorry, logging is the element. So let me think. Maybe not even menu. We probably won't set not to menu, but we want to set to the whole navigation. Right? So if you put a navigation, that should align menu and logging. Let's try. So it's aligned the menu, but still keeps this one because of the tallest element. So in my, let me give a second. So for my menu, it's still stretching my button because this one is the tallest, so it keeps the height of the whole element and stretching my button. So I need to basically have it for both, right? For navigation and for menu. So now that should be fine. Yeah. So let's add some padding for our logging anchor. Padding 1N as well. Yeah, so we have some spacing. Great. See what it means to be a designer? It's a beautiful design. Perfect colors. Okay. So we have button, we have logging. The only problem here is we've added padding, but as you can see, it actually doesn't. Is it working? Yeah, right. So it's not expanding my div, right? We probably want to have. Wait a second. If you remove our aligned items. and we keep, oh sorry, not this one, align items for navigation. Yeah, okay, so we want to cover the full height, right? So we don't want to have on the menu, sorry, on the navigation, on the whole navigation. We want to use, it should be stretched, but here it should be display flex as well, and align item center. So now my anchor will be aligned, but the parent element will take the full height. Yeah, I think it looks good. I also want to create like a helper class, which I will use for many elements, and I will call it container, and I will set for this container max width 1440 pixels, and I will set margin 0 auto. That means that I can, by adding this class to any element, let's say to my navigation will never be bigger than 1440. See? So now if I have a huge screen, I will have my content aligned in the middle of the page. So if somebody has like, I don't know, 38 inches screen or like 40 inches, the main content will be in the middle of the page, so they don't need to move their heads left and right. So the next bit that I want to do the same for my search for this one. So I'm putting my container on the beginning, because if I want to override some stylings, and in my case I probably want to override margin, I want to be able to do that. So I'm putting this first. So if my search sort will have any margin settings, it will rewrite my container. And for my main class container, and for the footer. Theoretically, for footer, we might want to. What about our design? Oh, it's white. Yeah, we can keep it. So we can add for footer class equals container. Refresh. Yeah, everything now is aligned. But what about small screens? If I go to small, it's still very close, right, to the edges. So I would say that we can, for our body, any ideas how to do that? By the way, how to create some extra padding left and right? Because I can see two approaches. First, to set margin, to set width to 90%, but max width should be this one. So if I refresh, see, now it's shorter. So if I'm making smaller, it keeps the gap from edges. But if we go too big, it stay on one point and keep the 1440, right? Let's do that. We can keep it here. The other approach that I was suggesting is, theoretically for body, we can set padding left and right 5%. But yeah, normally people use like container to set such things. Okay. So we have the navigation. Next stop is our search. So we can close our navigation for now. And here, so by the way, I suggest you, when you write in your CSS and HTML, when you finish with one section, to not lose yourself in your code, collapse the section. So now it will not, you will not mess with it. You can work on this next one. It's cleaner for you to work. Okay, so in my search, I have two sections, right? So again, display flex, refresh, one line. And here is the thing actually. Do we want to have a flex? So theoretically, what we can do, we can have a flex, and then what? Why I'm saying that, because here, see that it is aligned. So it looks like we have 4 columns, and this one takes first 3, and the fourth one will be here. So it's kind of a grid, right? So you need to think about how to build this grid. So maybe we want to use not flex, but grid, and we will have a lesson. Did we have a lesson on grid?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't remember, was it in future or, yeah, we covered that. Great, so we are an experts of grid, right? So display grid. And here, I want to use grid area. Grid area. And I want to call it, so, because we have 4 columns, right? 4 equal columns. So we have, how do we call it? Search, right? First one is search. Search. And the last one is sort, right? Just one row. And here we can have like grid template columns. You probably don't need columns, but grid columns gap. Grid columns gap. And we want to have like 1M. So if I refresh my page, we can see, can we see? Yeah. Now it is broken because we didn't specify where these 2 should go, but we should be, if I remove these 2 from the DOM, oh right, we have height 0. Okay, give me a second so I will put them into each. So search. That should go to grid. Is it grid template area? Grid template area. Yeah, sorry. And let's make sure try. Maybe now that will. Yeah, now that will work. So see that we have 4 columns, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we probably want to create a template column. We want to have 1 fraction, so each, right? 1 fraction, wait a sec. We want to repeat 4 times 1 fraction because we have 4 columns. Refresh. Yep. Looks okay, I think. That's now, if for my search grid area, I will search, I will take search, and for what? For sort, grid area, you might guess, sort. So let's try. What have I done wrong? Grid area. In my company, we don't use grid, so sometimes I just forget how to use it. Yeah, grid area. This is what we have, right? Yes or no? This is question to you, because maybe
No, we did.
Okay. See, Mushtaq?
There's a few videos I can post in the chat to stay up. Yeah, we did. It was when we were doing our first basic web page. It was around that time.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah, so let me just double check. That was just cool. This one. Ages ago. Exactly. That was a while ago. Let me just create area. So name, which is what we want. This is grid template areas. Yeah, this is what we have. Non sidebar. Grid template areas. This is what we have. Right? We have 4 headers, rows. Yeah, let's have rows also. But it shouldn't change anything. Create area. Oh, right, sorry, my bad, not strings. That might be it. So let me try again. Yes, yay, see? So now we have this grid. We maybe want to have a bigger gap. So let me actually do a bigger gap. 2. Yeah, looks about right. Beautiful. So now, for my search, I want to say that for my search, display flex, right? Because I want to grow my my input. So let me check. And now we have input flex grow 1. Let's try. Yoo-hoo! Look at us. And for sort, I want to do the same. So display flex. And here we have select flex grow 1. Beautiful. Look at us. Who said that we don't know how to build websites? Great. Yeah, so we have a grid, basically. We have 4 columns, so we can use this grid. And we can create an SM mixing, probably. Maybe not, but yeah. Let's see. So we have this search area, right? We've done it. As you can see, we can combine like grid and flexbox and use it when we need. Okay, so the next thing is our filters and item container. So we want to select our main, right? And here, basically it's the same. Display grid. Display grid. But here we will have still 4 columns. So theoretically I can copy this, right? But now I want to have 1 to 3. So we have like 4 grid template areas. I want to have filters and what? And items. Yeah, so 2 columns. Basically 2 sections. So we have 4 columns but 2 sections. And here, I'm just thinking.
So when should the value of the property should be string or not a string?
Sorry, say again?
Like the last property of a grid template area.
Yeah.
You have given the value as a string, and the last time you did was the grid area sort, and the sort clause, yeah.
Yeah, so when you define in the area, you need to define it as a string, but when you use it, you just use without quotes. right? So when you're marking, like dividing your area, you use as in quotes. But when you start using like create area, you use just filters.
Cool.
And for item container, create area, we have items. Yeah, like this. So let's check that. Let me set some min height for this one. Just height, just for now. We will remove it a bit later. 80 VH. So when I hover, so we have 4 columns, right? And you can see that we are matching the columns, and the gap will be on the same place, and that will be responsive when we start moving, resizing. We will have the matching gap. Okay, cool. The next step is I actually want to have not items, because I want to have 4, so I want to have items and items like this, right? That should be fine. Yeah. But let me think. So we have items, and then yeah. What if I use item, rename this to item, and now in my flex container, imagine that we have a few, yeah, so my flex container should be grid as well, right? But the problem is here, I think the problem here is that we might have troubles with nested grids. Nested grid subgrids. We might get troubles, but let's try. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they already fix it. Because I remember that some browsers didn't support subgrids. Can I use and subgrid? Beautiful. Wait a sec. Features, it says layout, measure level 2, that I was create item with its own flex, its own grid, align one post dimensions of the point grid. Yeah. Let's try, but I think that it will not work. If I set display, create, display create, I'm just thinking, I'll tell you what is the idea behind is that we want to have this one. So if you put a few things, align, multiply 4, and multiply. How many do we have on the page? 2 lines, 6. So that should. I'm wondering where it will put our elements. CSS create, and can we do this? But now we have 3, and we have this one. Yeah, like that. So we don't need to name. Yeah, see that it just won't work. So we have in this one, but yeah, so subgrids won't work, right? So we take the item area, but a second, if you have one, yeah, same.
So can you just explain a little bit this grid template column and repeat and how it works? Like you've done the 4 and the friction 1.
So here you're saying that I want to split the row into 4 equal columns. And now here I'm basically creating labels for each column.
And 1 friction, what is that? Is that the distance, the space?
1 fraction means the equal part. Depends on how many parts you want to have.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so let me think about that. How do you want to handle this? It's nice though that it can be fitted. Wait a second. If I each element, so we have 3 columns, so it might work, but why this takes only items container? Right, so you put in the wrong thing. We put in the wrong thing, so that might actually work. So it's not a container item, but product list. So dot product list, and this should be this one can be display flags, right? Or maybe even not a display flags, just a regular block. But this one should take, yes, look at us. But now we are not matching the padding. Oh right, because we have the padding on the beginning, that is why it's shifted. But if we set our padding to 0, to our list, that we should match. We are matching. Yes? So Chrome is supporting this subgrid, which is great. So now we can remove our list stylings. Do you understand what I'm doing?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
Okay. List style, beautiful. So for each column, I will style that, of course, in a few minutes. But the good idea, the good news is that we can have subgrid, which is awesome. So items container, it can be display flags. So if I change this to display flags, it should stretch the item. But yeah, let's avoid, let's keep it for now. We can just, for test, we can style our lie with like height. Like I don't know, 200 pixels. And background color, green. Refresh. Beautiful. We don't have row gaps, so we want to add row gap. So technically we can do just gap, because we want to combine both, right? So 2 amps for columns and rows. See? Beautiful. Can you imagine? Okay, so we have the items, we have filters here, we have items here, and yes, it is working. It is working. So for our filters, how do you want to filter them? I think it's time to render data. So where's my height? Here. Great. So let's go to our JavaScript, which we don't have. Here. Awesome. So first of all, I want to create a few variables for our elements, like product list, so we can use these selectors to push our data inside. Product list equals. How to select the element? Anyone? How to select the element by class?
Document.query selector. No, don't get. Oh,
Yeah.
was that right? Alright, cool.
Yeah. So
I was thinking if it was get element by, but then I remember that was just for ID.
you can use by get element by class, get elements by class, and
Yeah, okay.
use class, or query selector, which is very flexible because you can use class, or you can use ID, or you can use
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
div, anything.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So we have product list. Great. I think let's keep it for now. So I will create a function fetch data, or I don't know, fetch data. And here that will take URL, and that will return fetch URL, then response .json, something like that. This is it. Very primitive function. Let me just use it like that. I'll probably need to open here and close my CSS for now. Okay, so that's kind of function, right? So when we will call with some URL, we will get some responses. And so here, this is our URL. People. So Star Wars URL, like this, right? So let me just on load, I want to call this function like const. How do we call them? People get Star Wars people, and that will be something like that. So we will, because fetch is asynchronous, right? We want to have a sync here, and we want to await here. Then, because I will use await inside, I need to have a sync here. And now, const people equals, I want to await fetch data with this URL, right? And let's console log. Will we get people? And I want to call my function get Star Wars people. This is it. So when I load the page, I will call this function. This function will call that function, because this is very generic, and I will pass Star Wars to get the user. So technically, I don't need this middleware, but if you have a bigger project, you want to reuse some functions like fetch data, because this is a default. You have get request to the specific URL. So you just have like a reusable function that you can use all the time. Okay. The only thing that we forgot is to add our script src, and we have JS and we have index. Let's reload the page and check the console. We got the response. We have results, right? We have, oh, we have just 10. We actually have pagination here. And I think that they have, that's sad. Actually, this is really sad because we have just 10. So I probably want to store them to fetch a few more times. Can I specify how many I want to have? How to use documentation. I check their docs. Planet 1, base API, search R2, format, file people, get all the people resources. Schema, name, birth fields, starships, vehicles. Yeah, so they returned. I'm pretty sure that we can pass some pagination. No. Limit. Limiting. Base URL introduction. Getting started. Yeah, that's sad actually. I was expecting more than 10 people. But okay, so we have 10, at least we have 2 pages, right, for our needs. We have 2, so results, basically we want to have data, and then we want to have const people data dot results. Right, because this is the object. So now our people should be just an array. Refresh. Yeah, an array of 10. Beautiful. So let's say that I want to create a function, const create an li, or maybe just li. People, person, element, or just maybe person element, right? Where we will pass a person and we will build our element, person. Yeah, why not? So we have a person, and what do we want to have here? We want to create an element, const li. How to create a li? Anyone? AJ?
Create li.
Almost. Document.
Document.create element. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So we created an li. Okay, what kind of data we want to render? So what do we have for the, what do we know about user? We know the name. We probably want to have a name. We also have height and gender. So let's actually, yeah, let's take name, height, gender, and maybe eye color. So we will have a few filters. Yeah, that should be, I think that should be it. Okay, so let's start with the name. So in our li, inner HTML, I want to create p tag, maybe h3 or h4 tag, h4, where I'll have a name. So I don't want to keep repeating myself like person.name, person.gender, etc. So I'll destructure it here. Name, person, and I'll use my name here. Then I will have so, oh yeah, we have mass, height, gender, mass, height, gender. Let's do this. So I will create a div with details like class, person, details. And here, div, I will have a few tags. So we will have a few p tags for mass, height, and gender. So mass, height, and gender. So one p tag and that will be mass, height, and gender. So you probably want to specify like mass, height, gender, right? Okay, I think this is it. And we want to return our li. So we are building an li. Okay, so we have our target. So let's try to render it. Let's try to, yeah, that should be fine. So let's try to render. So we have people, then what do we want to have? Probably another function, const, because, so remember that single responsibility for each function. So when I'm creating functions, like you might think that I'm creating too many functions, or why I'm creating so many. But the idea is that every function should be tiny and do one thing. So the another function that I want to have is like render people, right? Which will take people, and will do for each an append. So it will take people dot for each person, and then I will call this one, so it's person element, right? So I'm creating a person element with person, and then I want to append it to the DOM. So I have this one, product list dot append, right? Person element. I think this is it. So here I should be able to call this with people. Yeah? Let's try. Look at us. We did it. We definitely need to remove our dummy allies. So if I refresh, refresh, why we still have dummy allies? I removed the wrong one. Like this. Refresh. 10 items. Right? Easy? You might want to keep them taller. Maybe we want to have in our CSS, we want to have not where are they? Not 200 pixels, maybe 300 pixels. Refresh. Yeah, looks good for me. And maybe for each, so each has class person details, right? Product list. We have a line we actually specifying. Theoretically, we can do what do we have? H4. So this one should be display flex, and here H4. I might want to wrap this H4 to have as a container, but let's keep it like this. So display flex direction, because I want to have a column. Then I want to have my flex row 1. Refresh. Yep. And for this one, how did I call my class? Person details. Background color. Yellow. And as well, display flex and justify content. Yeah, that should be it. I don't need to align. Refresh. Yeah. Let's do space between. Justify content. Space between. Something like that. Yeah. So we have our 10 users. Looks good for me. I think that we can apply for the competition to for the best design in 2020.
No.
No?
No.
I feel like we have some chances. Okay. Yeah, great. So let's actually do some filtering. Let's handle. So for now, we will keep pagination for later. Let's do filtering. And we want to search by name, right? So here is the question, because I have all these people here, and never do anything else with them. So it just once. So I potentially want to store these guys in some global variable for now. Like let people, that should be an array, and then I will do something like that, right? And yeah, something like that. So I need to keep these people here, because every time if I remove, I need to retrieve them again. So if I start typing filtering, I will have less them on the page, but when I start removing, I want to get them back, right? So yeah, let's keep them there. The next step, so the filtering. To handle the filtering, we want to handle this input. So in search, right? So we want to have another one, const search input. We have document query selector, search input, right? So on this one, we want to have search input. What do we want to have? we want to handle change. How can we do that?
On something?
Almost. We have add.
Oh, event listener. Oh.
Yeah, we've added event listener and we key down because this is input, so we will handle key down. Event, this is what it gets automatically. And here, const, I want to get the value, which is inside event target.value. So now we have the value. Let's actually check console log to see do we actually get in the value. Refresh. Looks like we're getting the value. Right? Beautiful. See how nice. That's such a nice triangle. Here the arrow. Beautiful. Okay, so we get in the value. That means that now we can do some filtering, right? And that means that we have time. This is a time for next function. Filter users. Here we will have query. And what we will do, const, how do we filter users? So filtered users, filtered people, sorry, people. What do? We have people. Then what we do? Dot.
Filter.
Filter. And we take person.
Person, yeah.
And we do what? So we want to check the name of the person. So theoretically, we can just destructure and get just name to keep it shorter. Because that will be a person, so person.name or just destructure and have name. And now we want to check, does our name match the query, right? Yeah. So we have.
Oh, so you type in the name is equal to or is not equal to?
Not equal, because that will direct match. We want to have some sub matches, right? So if you have a beginning or so you have your string match and your query. So let's do that. So you have name dot match and we have our query. It just doesn't like because we have curlies. It should be like this. And let's see what do we have. Console log. So see that I use console log a lot, and this is how I'm doing that in real life. Because when you build in something, you need to see what are you getting your data. You don't want to build a lot, write a lot of code, and then suddenly you say, oh, it doesn't work, and you start debugging all these hundreds lines of code. Because and you don't know where to start and where it fails. So every bit you write and you just testing, is it actually working? Here. So let's start. Our filter people is not defined. See? Good start. Filtered people. What? Right. Value. We're passing queries of value. R2. We have just 6, right? Wait a sec. Luke Skywalker. Oh yeah. Let's look for Darth. We don't have any. We had one, but now what the problem is that we need to check for lowercase, right? So we want to take the name to lowercase, and match to lowercase, right? Because
right, so that's how they do it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
because if somebody start typing capitals, you'll not
Yeah,
find.
yeah.
So but that is why you need to handle this here. You take your name, move to lower or
Make it
uppercase, it
okay.
doesn't matter. Normally
Yeah,
to lowercase.
and
And then match
Yeah,
vary
okay.
to lowercase. So let's try. Right? So we have it here. Beautiful. Looks like we're doing the right thing. And that means that we can use we can use our render people, right? Because we're getting filtered people. So see that because you use these tiny functions, you can reuse them, right? And pass your filtered people. Probably not what we want. And can you imagine that you've built one huge function? You start thinking, oh, how can I do that again? Etc. But now you can just reuse your function. The only problem that you'll find in a second, that when you start typing, we actually just add in more and more. So what we actually want to do is take our input list, and before we start to render a new people, we want to reset our inner HTML. It's just empty string. So now, if I start,
wait, so just quickly say that one more time again, Basil.
Sorry?
Just that last bit where you added the strings to the inner.
Yeah, so
HTML.
because when I start typing, it will add more and more people, but I want to, before I render a new people, I want to reset my inner HTML and then render a new list of people. The only thing that's here.
So product list is the entire grid, I guess. Is that what product list is?
Product. Yeah, product list. Product? Did I call it product? Yeah, okay, yeah, product list is. So, I know it's illegal to trade people, but yeah.
Alright. Yeah.
This application is about trading people. Okay, yeah, so here we're appending, sorry, where is it? Filtering.
Right there, yeah.
The only problem here, I just noticed, so when I start type look, and when I start removing, it doesn't do anything.
Doesn't repopulate.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking that here, if the query, the early return, because it's empty and we don't match, it just empty. I think it's, so let me test Alex. Dot match empty string. It returned an object. Why is it returning an object? It returns an array. Look at this. Okay. Oh. Okay, so we can't use match actually here. See, because we're getting an array, so we're basically matching. Which shouldn't be, because filter will look for truth, and we will always get true. So if we use include, that might be better. Let me just console log. So I need to console log here. I need to add curlies. Then I basically want to return this. And this one I want to console log the same thing. Yeah, actually I can test it here, right? Yeah. True, true, false. Yeah, so let's use includes. This is what we want. So not include, includes. That should work, I hope. So look. Now, what's going on? Look at this, it doesn't react on the first symbol. Key down. Do we trigger something on the first initial key down? Let's console log. See that when I press only once, it doesn't do anything. So console. Let's actually move it here and type value. So I want to see nothing. If I hit again, I have D. I'm keeping the first one. Okay, key up. Maybe on key up. That is why we're losing the first one. Yes, that is why we're losing the first one. So because basically on key down, you haven't recorded the key, but you already handled the press, right? Because when you pressing just down, you still haven't get that key. So you want to have a key up. So when you're releasing, you already have that key in memory, so you can handle it. So now that should work. Let's try again. So we have door. Yep, it is working. So see, our filtering is working. Easy enough, right? So let's sort. We can check by height.
Sorry,
Yep.
I didn't understand the key down and key up. What was the difference?
Yeah, so when you press the key down, you're triggering the event, but your computer still doesn't know which key has been pressed on key down. On key up, when you're pressing and releasing the button, it already recorded, it caught which key you pressed, and that is why you have the value of the key.
Okay, so I understood what happens on a key up, but why doesn't it register on a key down?
Because it registered that key was down, but you still haven't recorded. It didn't catch the actual key. It didn't register the actual key. It just registered. It's like a life cycle of registering events.
Okay.
Okay. So let's sort. Let's sort by height, gender, or mass, right? So let me here, when we are getting the initial, I want to console log my people, so we will have keys. Not here. Get wrapped. So I think we should call it init. And here I want to have our console log people. So we will see the object structure. Because we want to, so we have height, we have mass, and yeah, beautiful. So let me just name. So the value is height. Let me just think. Normally, when you sorting, you have two things: ascending and descending. So you can have height and let's say descending. So we have from height from or maybe just highest. Is it like that? Yeah. No? What is it? How to spell it? How to spell it? Highest. Come on. Google. Okay. What was it?
Yeah, there's no E.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. Highest. It's late already. First. So highest first, then height, ascending.
Shortest first, right?
Yeah, shortest first.
Also, you're talking about, so then the first one should be tallest first then, instead of highest.
Descending, so it comes from top to bottom, right?
Yeah. But because you're doing the height, right?
Yeah.
So tall and short. That's what I was thinking.
Oh.
The highest is, I guess, is alright as well.
Yeah, okay. Tallest first and shortest first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have what? What other things do we have? Height, mass.
Yeah.
Mass. Descending. How to call this one?
Heaviest first?
Heaviest first.
Yeah. It's an E, yeah. EAV.
EAV.
VIEST. Yes.
Yeah, highest first and mass ascending. How?
Lightest first.
Lightest first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we render. We have tallest, shortest, heaviest, lightest. Okay. So here we have a bit more complicated logic. So when we have a select, let's sort select, right? Another one. Sort select. Here we want to have sort, and inside we have select. So this one is another event listener. Sort select, but here is on change because we are changing. So let's check it again. And value, right? What do I miss? Oh, is it because of no? Select on change. Yes. Yeah. Why did it work? Change, not on change. So when you write online, I mean inline, sorry, JavaScript, you need on change, but here it just change. Yeah. Yeah. Highest ascending, right? Highest mass. Beautiful. So here, what I want to do it in 2 steps. First, I want to split into types. So types or type will be an array because I want to split my value split by underscore, right? So we'll have type first element const actually value. How can I call it? Value types maybe, and then type value. Let me actually element value. Then we have this, then value. Maybe we can call it sort value. And here we will have values types. Actually, so yeah, we can do that in old-fashioned way with like 0, right? And order like 1, yes? Or how to do that with ES6? Do you know?
I have no idea.
So ES6 provides you a way to destructure the array and name each value. So I can do this. Sort value order. This is it. I've just created 2 variables. And if I console log them here, refresh, see? 2, mass descending, right? So I would say I also want to pass a boolean. So I will pass to my sorting function. So as you might guess, I want to create a const sort people function where I need to pass my people. I want to pass, what do I want to pass? I want to pass sort value and probably is descending, for example. And here I will have something like const is descending equals, and if order equals descending, yeah, basically this. So that will be true or false, right? If it's true, is descending. If it's false, is not descending, right? So now I can use it here because what I can do, I will take people dot sort let me think. Sorted people. I'm not doing again another thing that I'm not doing every day. Sort person, here person name, person, what person, wait, oh my gosh, Let me check sort. Because we need to have two values, I think. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, A and B. So we're taking. Oh my gosh, I did so a while ago. Okay, yeah, A and B. Okay, yeah. So this is person 1, person 2. Right, and here I will check person 1. That is why I'm passing sorting value, because I can use my dynamic keys, right? Remember dynamic keys. Value more than what? Than person 2. And this more is actually the same that I want to change. So theoretically, I just want to convert it to a regular function and write my if, or maybe just, again, another ES6 question mark, if it's descending, so that should be it, else it should be this symbol, and this one should be returned, right? Do you understand what I'm writing? Do you? So let's try. So if I shortest first, right? Beautiful. I've never called that function. Smart me, right? So sort people, I'm passing people, I'm passing sort value, and is descending. Yeah, let's try again. So shortest. So the height 172. Shortest. Yeah, we need to change order, right? Wait a sec. It doesn't actually. Shit. See, they are strings. For fuck's sake. And we have, yeah, all of them are strings, which is annoying. So we want to parse our value. Parse int, like that. We will get back in a second to what I'm doing there, because I feel like you might miss. Yeah, so let's check. 72, shit, still the same. Why we are not sorting? Any ideas why we are not sorting? Okay, let me just console log. Maybe we get in some undefineds. To make sure. Yeah. We're comparing. So parse int. Let me check this. Yeah, that should work. That should sort actually. True, false, true, false, false, true, 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 false. Why is not sort value? Any ideas what I'm missing? So height. checking, comparing. This is what we want. It looks correct. Let's check again, sort.js. Where do we have objects? Okay, in the end. This is what we're doing. A/B, checking values. B to return. Oh, minus. Minus? No, upper lowercase. Minus B. Okay. So does it mean that we want to change the order then? No, probably not. Or yes. Let me check. Extending. Sort this. Oh, okay. So they use reverse. No. Right. Minus B. This is what they do. -1 or 1. Because sort will look for -1 or 1. Okay.
So how does that apply to what we're trying to do then?
Sorry?
How does that apply then to what we're trying to do? The -1.
So this is how sort works. It just if it's less than 0, then it's ascending, I think. If it's more than 0, then it's descending. Let me just check because I messed a bit here. So the whole thing should be. Wait a second. I might be wrong actually. Yeah, potentially I'm potentially wrong. But let me just check that. Is it actually doing something? 280. Yeah, so it's sorting from tallest to shortest. And if we select this one, so it is sorting. Yeah, okay, but in opposite direction. So we want to have this one here and this one here. Yeah, let me just double check. If it is working, I'll explain. Oh, sorry, not heaviest, shortest. But yeah, heaviest should be as well. So shortest 96 to 202 and tallest from 2. Yeah, it is working. Okay, so let's go to this one. This is a sort method, right? And sort method basically it compares. So here's actually MDN explaining that that sort, and it takes basically your array and comparing. So if it's less, where is it? I remember now. Compare A and B. Returns less than 0, sort A to an index lower than B. So if it's less, then this is descending. If it's more, then this is ascending. Right?
So we take away the values from each other, what we're trying to compare, and then whichever one is positive is the one that is ascending, and then the one that was negative
yes.
is the one that is. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. So how do we know? So like in this example, how do we know that person two's sort value is going to be greater than person one's sort value?
So because we're passing the height, right? So we're basically comparing person 2 height versus person 1 height. And if the person 1 height is lower than person 2, person 2 height is lower than person 1, then we will have negative, and that will be descending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, but now we are facing another problem, that we want to have filtered in accessible from here as well. Because imagine that you filtered your items and you want to sort just filtered items, right? So you probably want to have another let filtered people, which you will use for all filtering, and you will keep your filtered people here and full array here. So where do we filter users? This one. So now we can basically give a second. So we have this one, and we want to render filtered people. Not filtered, but we don't even need to pass this one, because we will be based on global one. So that will be your filtered people. You're rendering your filtered people, right? And when you're resetting, wait a second, when you're resetting, yeah, right, so you're always rendering filtered people, but on initial load, where's initial load? In it, we want to basically have that for filtered people as well, right? So we doing this, so our people will be changed only once, and then we're working with filtered people, right? Because we use our people only for when we're filtering, and we need to have a starting point. We don't want to refetch from the database or from the backend. Here we're passing filtered people. So initially we're fetching, storing in both arrays, but this one will be changed, and this one will never change. Does it make sense?
One more time, too.
Okay. So let me try and refresh. So if I start search, we have both, right? So we have height 200 and 183. So shortest first. Beautiful. As you can see, we forgot to reset. Every time you want to render, you want to reset your items. So let's try again. Tar. So shortest first, yeah? Or tallest first. Yeah. We can, for our select, what I suggest is to add another option, result value. So sort.
Select.
Yeah. Right. Is it disabled? Oh, I always keep forgetting like default and selected. No. So we have default, and how is it deactivated? Oh my gosh. No, it's not default, it's selected, but disabled. Like this. Refresh. Sort by. Yeah. So now you can't, by default, it's not sorted. But you can do some searching, like let's start sorting. Tallest, then the shortest, then let's heaviest, mass, right? And lightest. So we can sort and we can filter. Yeah? So the last
Right,
bit.
so it was selected and disabled.
Sorry?
So it was selected and disabled. Those are the two that we needed.
Yeah, selected and disabled. Because for some reason I was always thinking that it is default, but yeah, it's selected. Yeah. And this is, so now you can't click it back. The last thing that we didn't build, I would say, two things actually. Filtering by filters on the side menu.
Like the dragging.
Like
what's that thing?
Yeah, for let's say drag and drop or just ticks, it doesn't matter. But
yeah, what would you call it? The slide at the bar for that price range.
Yeah, you can. So this is basically when you build it, you basically put one slider on top the other, and you will just calculate take the value of each on change. But yeah, so we will have another code session. I would say that there we can implement these filters, and then we can finish the layout and make it nice and pagination. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Was fun.
Thanks very much, Monsieur. Yeah, I don't know. It might have been